It's time to talk Gonzaga basketball.
Get ready.
It's the Spokesman-Review Zags Insiders Podcast.
Here we go.
Good Monday morning. Welcome back to the Zags Basketball Insiders Podcast. Richard Fox, TV analyst on SWX and KHQ for Gonzaga basketball telecasts. I'm Jim Meehan, semi-retired from the Spokesman-Review. When I landed at about 11:30 or midnight last night, and it was an absolute downpour at Spokane Airport. Kind of thinking I should have been fully retired, Foxy. It was coming down. It was a gully washer, Keith Jackson would have called it. So anyway, back from the road trip to Portland. Another successful neutral one-off game for the Zags. They beat Oregon 91-82 at the Moda Center. We'll give you a lay of the land of where Gonzaga is and all the metrics and polls and rankings and all that. Not sure how or why. The Zags beat a pretty good team. I think it's a quad 2 game. How far is Portland from Eugene? Not even an hour, is it?
No.
Dropped from 3rd to 5th in the net. I'm not sure how that works. They still, I guess the trade-off is they pick up a quad 2 win. They're 3-0 in quad 2, 3-1 in quad 1. I believe that's because Arizona State lost to Oregon State at home. And that dropped them into the quad 2 category because the Zags had 4 quad 1 wins last week. Solidly on the 2 line at the bracket matrix. I think they're the second of the 4 2 seeds there. 4th in Ken Palm's rankings, the metrics, the analytics-driven one. That's 3rd on offensive efficiency, 10th defensive efficiency. Maybe not the greatest week for Gonzaga's defense, but offense can continue to roll. Not sure what the AP rankings will hold. Foxy is monitoring that as we go. Usually comes out about mid-show, but we'll get to that. Foxy, what you got planned for Christmas? You hanging around?
My parents fly in tonight. I think they land around 8:39, and they'll be with us for the week, which will be a lot of fun. Haven't seen them since the summer.
Right on.
We'll have my wife's family over, brother-in-law, everybody. We'll have a full house on Christmas Day and
Good.
beef tenderloin and all the fixings, and it'll be great. Hoping for a good Christmas morning. Hopefully everyone's happy with Santa, so we'll see.
All right. Well, we're gonna have.
I was gonna say, what are you doing?
I think we're gonna have 9 adults and one grandson that's coming in March at the house, and we'll have 3 big dogs probably at the house. And I'm in charge of a prime rib, which I got a Traeger last Christmas, and I'm not sure. I've done one prime rib on it. I'm not feeling 100% confident on that, Fox.
Oh, this is the spot to be in, dude. So first off, make sure that the Traeger's clean.
Yeah.
And then this is the perfect excuse to just geek out on like YouTube and see how guys do it, and then you'll be fine. If you have a thermometer, all that, it'll turn out well. Have confidence.
I've got all that. We'll see. It's the first big one we've done on the Traeger, so we'll see if we can pull it off. But
you got this.
All right, well, let's go through the week. Campbell came to town earlier this week, led by John Andrushek, who some folks might know. He was connected with Kyle Smith, the old WSU coach, the old St. Mary's assistant, worked with Randy Bennett. He went on to Florida and won a national title on Todd Golden's staff. Now he's got his own team. Young dude, I think he's 33.
Mm-hmm.
But he did a nice job with the Fighting Camels, very unique nickname they have. They made that thing competitive for about 30 plus minutes, and I was impressed with what they ran offensively. They had some nice stuff. They're pretty physical. I thought the Zags, and we talked about this on last week's show, is kind of how would the Zags approach the game. It's they're going to be heavily favored. Kind of one of those easy ones to look past when you've just played UCLA and Seattle, and you've got Oregon coming up in Portland. And I don't think the Zags were by razor sharp by any means. They had quite a few turnovers, season high with 15. Mark Few always uses the word bonehead sometimes when they get a little sloppy and make some kind of unforced turnovers, and they did that. I thought there were some slips defensively, not major, but just here and there. It just didn't seem like they were completely engaged like they've been, like we've grown accustomed to. And that's a whole lot of nitpicking. They win by 28. They put them away in the final 10 minutes. But just kind of for one of the rare times this season, just maybe not as razor sharp as we've kind of grown to see him. What it looked like courtside.
Yeah, it's interesting. It never felt like Gonzaga was losing, the grip on the game. But and you look at the stats. I mean, you mentioned the 15 turnovers. There was a stretch there in the first half where I think they turned it over 4 out of 5 possessions or 5 out of 6.
Yeah, they never do that.
When they're and it's after they brought in their bench. But I mean, you look at the stats, and it didn't feel this way during the game. But Campbell 20 turnovers, Gonzaga 32 points off those turnovers. Mm-hmm. Gonzaga's 26 points off the bench, plus 26 points in the paint, and had a 23-8 fast break points and fast break advantage. So it was an odd game where I think that's a very well coached Campbell team. They've got some guys who can play, Smith and the kid out of Pepperdine, Utka. I think that's how you say his name. But he just kind of kept trucking along, even though he got his shot blocked a couple times early. He's shifty inside, plays really hard. But yeah, it was just kind of an odd game that way. I don't have. It's not as if something jumps out and you say, well, that's exactly why, Campbell kind of made it interesting there until, maybe 8 minutes in the second half. But you just saw Gonzaga's advantage, obviously, which Huff was brilliant. Quite frankly, he's been brilliant. I was looking at this, getting ready for the pod, and since the Players Era tournament, that's 5 games. So since the Michigan game, he's averaging 24 points, 5 rebounds, shooting 72% from the field, and you'll like this: 3 of 6 from 3.
Did he hit some threes last week? I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, you didn't pick up on that. I thought Ike was really good. I mean, only 4 of 9 from the field, but another double. I think after Oregon, now he's got 40. But he's been really efficient at the free throw line, 5 assists, a few turnovers, but his playmaking and particularly his connection with Huff is really evident now. Mm-hmm. And you just got kind of a precursor to the Oregon game. Smith was really solid coming off the bench, 24 minutes, 11 points, 5 assists. Again, no turnovers. He's just so good with the ball. Really, doesn't get sped up, doesn't make mistakes. He really raises their floor. I mean, when I don't think he doesn't raise the ceiling in the same way Mario can, and hopefully will as we get towards the end of the year. But when he comes in, their floor is still really high. I mean, he runs an efficient ship.
Yeah.
Gonzaga shot a good percentage from 3. And when they do that, I just don't know, even if they have, and we saw that against Oregon, if they don't have their A game, but they make shots from the 3-point line, it doesn't probably matter outside of a handful of teams in the country. I mean, they're that good.
Yeah, no, all the numbers and everything, they did kind of what they do. It just, there was some more hiccups along the way, some more lapses, but nothing they couldn't overcome. I think it was 10-point game, about 10 minutes left in the second half, and they hit the throttle, and that game was over. So.
And I think a thing worth noting, and we think we do this every year, first game without the students in the building.
Yeah.
It really makes a difference, as engaged as the non-student fans are. I mean, they're not obviously as rowdy. It's not the same experience, and in those environments, you really have to bring your own energy. and I think that can be difficult at times. So I think that's worth noting. When you do go on a run, it's not quite as the energy in the building is not quite the same.
Yeah. You mentioned Braden Huff, 37 points. Didn't miss a shot. His first 12 or something?
It might have been his first 13.
Yeah, 13. It was incredible. His touch is beyond belief with the shot put. He hit one against Oregon. It was like a 12-foot shot put. It was a long one.
No, it was basically the free throw line. I mean,
yeah.
I can't think of anybody else I've seen shoot a similar shot from the distances in which he will take them. Yeah. It is really, and I wonder how you develop that. That'd be an interesting question. Like, where did that come from? Is that just you've always done it, or did you get taught that? I mean, because there's I don't know of a coach out there who's like, all right, kids, let's all line up. We're going to work on our shot put from the free throw line. I mean, no one does this. Now, where did this shot originate from? I don't know.
You got to start doing that with your team, Foxy. You got to coach those kids up with the Braden Huff method and bring him in.
No, I'm very fortunate. My parents do not stay at practice. However, if their kids all went home and said, "Hey, coach had us do this really weird," they called it the Huff shot. I think half them would leave the team. I think this guy's crazy.
Well, I'll tell you what, he doesn't need to change a thing because it lands like a butterfly on the rim.
It's remarkable.
Either hand too. His right hand has come a long way.
We were commenting on that in certainly Campbell, but maybe it was North Florida. But he was so left-hand dominant when he got here, and I can tell you it's oddly enough, it's easier to defend a left-handed perimeter player because you're used to having coaches growing up tell you to shade a player one way or the other. It's still challenging because it's abnormal. You don't see that every day, but you can do that. It's a relatively easy adjustment. It's very difficult to defend an efficient scorer on the low block who's left-handed because A, they're rare, and B, you never do it. But I think we saw the good teams last couple years make a real effort to do that, and I think at times bother Braden where they forced him over his left shoulder, which requires him to go with the right-handed jump hook, and that's not an issue this year. I mean, he can go over either shoulder. He's very, very efficient with the right hand now. And the next thing for him is going to be the shot that Graham has, which is that little bit of a fadeaway going over that left shoulder. And I'm sure that'll come, but he's about as efficient and as dynamic a post scorer as you're going to find in the country right now.
No, he's been terrific, and he had a play against Oregon, caught it. Above the low block. That was a perfect angle because that's where the press seating was up high. It was right down the line. Also for his three was a corner three, I think, coming right at me. Swish. This one he catches right above the block. So he's got maybe about a drop step or two to work with, baseline. Mm-hmm. He catches it. They bring help coming right at him, and he kind of just gave just a little wiggle to occupy that guy for a second, and then turned away from the help side guy, hits a baby hook. Short because with the backboard on your left hand on that side, you're losing some of your angle, drains it. It's like, what do you do? It's always one of the kind of fascinating things going into every game is who's going to guard EK, who's going to guard Huff, how much are they going to double, where are they bringing it from? And you saw Biddle guarded Huff quite a bit in that game, and he guarded EK as well. But I think they tried to bring the help from different spots as well. Usually you kind of take into account who the three ball shooters are, and maybe that's the person who helps. And because you can afford giving up the kick out three, but that's always something to watch with every team that plays Gonzaga. How are you going to defend those two? You're going to put your biggest guy on EK. Most teams do, the biggest, strongest guy. I think Merez Johnson, maybe for Michigan, had EK while Huff worked against somebody else. That's always fascinating to me. So, and in league, the teams they're going to face in league, maybe other than St. Mary's, I think San Francisco has some bigs. Seattle U has some bigs. I don't know how they'll do defending. They have the size. Let's put it that way. So something to watch. I always get a kick out of, do they double? Do they not?
Mhm.
Campbell's coach told me they've doubled so many times against Gonzaga posts over the years. He played them when they had Shemek and J3 and
Yeah, yeah.
Collins and that crew, and he says that they're so well versed on what to do, how to handle it. It usually is a net negative, and so they don't double as much. Might dig and do some other things, but anyway, let's move on to Oregon. That was an entertaining game. Man, there was a couple of things that happened there. Well, first of all, we should mention Mario St. Superi was feeling ill all week, apparently, and wasn't able to practice hardly at all. Couldn't shake it. They were hoping he would get up on Sunday morning and kind of be able to go, but it kind of has hung with him. And that's kind of one of the factors behind you seeing Braden Smith get some early time. And man, his timing was perfect. When they needed him, he came up with his best game of the season. 21 points, 7 assists, 2 steals, no turnovers. The guy, I think I wrote it. Now I can't remember what I wrote. I think he has 13 turnovers in 13 games. Is that I
Correct.
think
That's
that's
correct.
right.
Yeah, 59 assists to just the 13 turnovers, a
That is insane.
4.5 assist to turnover ratio. It's
Yeah.
it's
Oh, but
silly.
put yourself in Braden Smith's Nikes. Okay, put yourself in his shoes.
It's gonna be a tight fit, but okay.
He started every game at Colgate for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
He was the player of the year in that league. His sophomore year, he redshirted at Gonzaga after he transferred. So 2 years back, player of the year. I think it was the tournament MVP. He takes them to the NCAAs. They play Baylor. I think he had double figures in that game. He sits out a year under Ryan Nembhard. He's the heir apparent. He starts the first 4 games at Gonzaga. He gets moved to the bench. If you got his stats up, Foxy, maybe you can check this. My memory is he had 9 assists against Arizona State and didn't start the next game. Am I on that right? That might be off, but anyway, it's not like he was floundering or not doing anything. He was kind of doing what he does. He's not a big time scorer per se. He's more of an assist, get everybody involved, can run the break defensively, all those things. But obviously, you can see he's still got some offense in him. So he gets pulled. Mario's playing great, and got the starting job. Did Smith? He didn't sit around and throw a pity party. He didn't. As far as I could tell, there was no whining, no complaining. He was still really actively involved on the bench. Must have kept working his tail off because when he's come in, especially his last 3 or 4 games, he's been terrific. I thought he was great against UCLA as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, I think. I mean, he's played decent, pretty good against the better teams on Gonzaga's stretch. Now, the mindset to do that after starting your first 70 games, I mean, this kid scored 20 in his first college game. He's got, I think 10 or 11 20-point games back at Colgate. He's always in double digits. Great ball handler, assist man, low turnovers, all those things. Gets put into a situation that a lot of folks might look at and go, man, I'm gonna sulk and I'm gonna complain behind everybody's back, and you just don't see any of it with that kid, and that's impressive to me to have that mindset, to be able to deal with that, come in and do the job the way he's done it. That's impressive. What do you think of how he's handling things?
Well, you're right. I mean, Arizona State, 27 minutes, just 0 of 2 from the field, but 9 assists, one turnover, and then they make the change.
Yeah.
He's just look. It starts with who you hire. I mean, like who is the person, and what is their approach, not just to playing and their ability on the floor, but it as kind of feel goody as it sounds, it's like, are they
You
team
mean who they
first.
are? Is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
like who they are as a human being. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
are
okay.
you a team first person? Are you about the group, or are you unselfish? Do you want to be part of something, as they always say, bigger than yourself? Um, are you a fit in type of person? I mean, and I think they've done consistently. Gonzaga's done a very good job of finding the right people. Um, it would be the same in any organization. Um, you can have the most talented person on your team, but if they're disruptive, if they're not, um, if they make it difficult for everybody else, unless their production is just extraordinary, you have to think about, is the juice worth the squeeze in that situation? Are all the negative effects worth living with just because this person's very talented at whatever it is they do? So I think that's where it starts. And I think this staff does a very good job of keeping, I've said this before, of keeping everybody on the team engaged. Um, I saw something once, and I'm not going to remember the quote exactly, from Jay Wright, where he said to this effect, he said, everybody has their own role, but everybody has the same status. Meaning you are all equal in our mind. We treat everyone the same. You're valued. Now, this guy might be our leading scorer, our starting point guard. This guy might be the walk-on, but everyone's status here is the same. And I think Gonzaga does a really good job of that. I mean, and that's how you keep a guy like Smith engaged when this is clearly not what the expectation. There's no way his expectation coming to Gonzaga and redshirting was that he would come off the bench after starting 2 years at Colgate, being very, very successful at that level, going to the NCAA tournament, I believe, with Colgate.
Mhm.
This is not what the program was supposed to be. But here he is, a guy who's, from all accounts, stayed engaged, still been a value add to their team dynamic. He's a good teammate and he's a good player. And
He
here he,
is.
and this is the value of depth if it works. Um, if you have depth, I think sometimes it can be problematic if you don't have people like Braden Smith, where night to night, I may get to play, what do you play against, 20 some odd minutes against, 27
Oregon?
minutes against, yeah, 27 minutes
27.
against Oregon, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But he might play 13 two games ago for whatever reason. But yet here he is engaged. Now he's got extended minutes. He's going to take advantage. And I promise you, if sure, I'd be shocked if after the break, once Mario's feeling healthy and presumably playing very well, if his minutes go back down to 16 a game, I just don't see an issue there, right? So, you asked me what the mindset is, and I just think it's kind of part of your DNA. How were you coached growing up? What's the family situation? All these things matter.
Yeah.
And he's clearly got a view that I could be part of something pretty special here. My role may not be what I thought it was going to be, but my role's still important. I'm still an important piece to what it is we're doing, and I think it's been great to see.
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, put yourself in his shoes. He's been dealt some tough cards pretty early, first 2-3 weeks of the season, and that's the other thing I would stress is it wasn't like he was playing poorly. He just, Mario did have some flash moments and was playing great himself. So I think the end result here is on any given night, you're probably going to have both of them contribute. And on certain nights, one of them's going to be on, the other may not be on. It's
Well,
like
it
Steele and
yeah.
Emmanuel and Miller, and you're going to find one of them that's what's getting
Well,
it done.
what was interesting against Campbell, they both played together for an extended
One
period
of
of
the first
time.
times, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I hadn't seen that, at least not for an extended period of time.
yeah.
And I like that idea because I think Mario can guard up a position or guard up in size, and you're awfully fast with both of those guys. But this is a dynamic for other than Ike and Huff. Everybody on this team is living this life,
Mm-hmm.
which is, yes, we've got. It feels like their starting lineup is set at the moment, but that could change. Um, Some nights Steele's going to make shots and he's going to play a bit more. But if he's not making shots, or they're defending him in such a way where he can't get going at all, can't get the attempts, then he might play 16, 18 minutes, and Miller might play more.
Yeah.
Depending on the matchup, Warley might play more than he might some other nights, right? And Grant Foster, I think, is probably has the biggest variance. And right now he's we can get into it, but he's not played um, as well. It's interesting. You look at Grant Foster, pre-Michigan, that, up to the end of that Michigan game, averaging 21 and a half minutes, 12.6 rebounds, shooting almost 50% from the field. That's Michigan. 17 minutes a game, just about 8 points, under 4 rebounds, shooting 35% from the field.
Yeah.
But this is a long season, right? This is not a sprint. And so players are going to have dips in their performance, dips in their energy. And when you have the depth Gonzaga has, you can really absorb that. If you have, it's not as if Grant Foster is your second best player, and if he's not right, you have a problem.
Yeah.
Right. And the remarkable thing is if Ike has an off night, you have a so, I mean, or vice versa, right? I mean, they have a lot of kind of contingency in their roster where if one guy's not having a good night, he's out sick. I think Miller against Campbell tweaked his ankle, didn't play in the second half. No problem. We've got the depth to handle that. And it's been really, I think, part of what makes this group really compelling is that not only are they deep, but they all seem to accept that if we're all going to play, none of us outside of probably Ike are going to touch 35, 38 minutes a game. So if we all accept that, then we're going to do something pretty special as a group. And so far, it feels like they've all accepted that.
And what they do really well and have done for years really well is they play the hot hand. They find the hot hand, which, teams know it's going EK Huff. They know, but they can't stop it a lot of times. But it's not just them. I mean, Braden Smith took 10 shots yesterday. I don't know, but it's got to be a season high. He hit some mid-range shots that if you just closed your eyes, that was riding them hard. Pull up, midi, boom. Steele and Miller got the 3-point shots because they were making them, and they keep feeding them. They do the hot hand thing very well, and it's not just the bigs. It's the other guys when they're on a roll, they keep going to it till the well runs dry.
Well, and I think you look at how long some of these three Warley and Smith effectively didn't play for, they played back in 23, 24, right?
Yeah, set out basically a year, yeah.
And Venters is out for 2 years. I mean, It feels like Steele has found his footing. I mean, since the Michigan game, he's shooting 57%, 12 of 21 from three. Now, that's a pretty elevated percentage. I don't expect him to hold that.
Yeah.
But he was shooting under 35% before through the Players Era tournament, right? But you forget he hadn't played in 1,300 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it just takes some time, and you're fitting all these pieces together. I think sometimes it also supports how remarkable their non-conference has been. Even though I think you and I felt immediately like this team has really gelled and it's been really impressive. I expected more hiccups just because it's a lot of new faces, right? And they just haven't had any of that. And they've been able to let a guy like Steele keep playing. They didn't never abandon what he could do because he was struggling. They were able to absorb that. It's been pretty good non-conference, Jim.
No question. Beat Oregon the other day, or yesterday, I should say, with I certainly wouldn't call it their A game.
No.
I think they had some real issues defensively, and Oregon's going to give you issues defensively when they're fully healthy, which they're kind of, if they're not fully healthy, they're pretty close. Biddle looked great, stretches the floor, pretty active, gets on the rim and scores. Kwame Evans is a pretty talented kid. I think he's 6'9" or 10. Mm-hmm. And Jackson Shellstad puts up big numbers. That's kind of their big three. Their problem comes in after that. They just didn't have the support group that the Zags had. Zags had 40 points off the bench. Oregon had 13. But I think getting back to Gonzaga, it's another case where and same thing with UCLA. They played well. Obviously, you have to play well to beat teams of that caliber, but you're not the game. The buzzer doesn't sound, and you don't go, man, they can't play any better than that. That's just terrific, both ends of the floor. The whistle sounds in these, and you go, man, they got a nice win, double-digit win. Oregon scored late to make it single digits, but you just have this feeling like they got numerous things they can clean up here. They can try to get Tyon Grant Foster going again. They have these lapses or what have you, the turnovers. I feel like they've won with B+ games almost the last couple big games, and it's kind of a sense of, if these things keep coming together, if the improvement keeps coming, that ceiling keeps rising. There's another gear that they haven't hit. I don't know. You feel like that, or you think we've kind of seen them tap out here on what's possible?
No, I think there's room for growth for this group. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they've got, they've touched that level. I mean, Kentucky but no, it's funny you say that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't think of a game where I thought that is as good as that group could play. Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably Kentucky, and Kentucky was just like a beaten dog that day.
yeah, I'm not sure I don't think they had a lot of fight in them, but that's still, Gonzaga played awfully well.
Yeah.
No, I think there's room for growth. I mean, look, when I look at a stat sheet, the first things I look at are rebounds, turnovers, and free throws. Right. So rebounds, did we win that effort? And this has been a very good rebounding team for GU, and they're +2 on the game and +4 on the offensive glass. Credit Oregon. They've got real size. You saw that. I think they competed on the glass, but Gonzaga found a way to get that advantage. And in turnovers, Gonzaga just 5 turnovers versus the 11 turnovers for Oregon. But what's remarkable is Gonzaga gets 19 points off of Oregon's 11 turnovers. Oregon gets 4 points off of GU's 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
And then I look at free throws. Gonzaga 28 free throw attempts, Oregon 13. Yeah. That tells me that Gonzaga just more aggressive in what they're doing on the offensive end. And outside of some settling from Ike and Huff, taking some threes early in possessions, I thought they did a decent job of, getting feet in the paint with the ball, either post touches or dribble drives. I thought Smith was very good about that, pushing the pace. And then look, you couple those 3 things with Gonzaga shooting 43%, almost 44% from the 3-point line. Look, if Gonzaga shoots north of 40% from the 3-point line, I don't know who beats them outside of 6 to 8 teams in the country if they also play well. I mean, that's just a really difficult recipe. And credit Oregon. I mean, Gonzaga kind of got it to 12 and it stayed there. Oregon hit some shots. Their little guard off the bench coming from the Chinese professional league. They had, at least on the broadcast, they said 2 guys making money overseas last year. One in China, one in Turkey that are not playing in college.
Yeah, today's day and age.
Jim, what's happening?
Players right now. They're adding players.
Is this still college basketball? Let me just throw that out there. Anyhow,
well, the word college may /pro, college/pro,
semi-pro basketball, semi-pro. There we go. Gonzaga +7 in fast break points. It just, watching Oregon play. A couple of things. One is, you see what everyone, when they watch him play, what they think he could be.
He's gonna be a good pro.
He just hasn't. He's struggled for consistency. A lot of that's been injury related. But as the best player on the floor, I mean, just a remarkable 28 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks, can shoot it from 3, makes his free throws. He's enormous.
And he can move.
I was just going to say he moves pretty well for his size. Just a really impressive performance, and you saw it really bothered Graham in particular. I mean, Graham, and that happened against Michigan too. I think they're going to have a conversation about what to do in those types of matchups where I think he's still better off. They got to either find a way to get him touches in a way he's comfortable against a bigger man, like Biddle, where he's either getting it on the move, where he's got an
Yeah.
advantage with his speed, and can create an angle, or he just has to live with maybe a lower field goal percentage and some contested shots just to put foul pressure on a guy like Biddle. And stepping out for 4 threes, just several of those were early in the possession, just
Yeah.
not
And Huff
not.
had one too.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason either one of those guys should shoot a trail three, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You're going to get that shot 20 seconds into the possession if you want it. But anyhow, I'm back on my 3-point soapbox. And the other thing is one of the biggest differences between a great team and a good team is a great team doesn't beat themselves. They don't make they don't make a lot of mistakes, but they also don't compound those mistakes. So when they have a breakdown defensively, great teams, you don't see that again the next possession. They shore up the things they could control, the defensive glass, the turnovers.
Yeah.
And Gonzaga does those things, and it's boring, and a lot of it is not necessarily something it's readily. It's not as obvious as you it might be, but it's not as obvious as knocking down the 3-point shot or a block shot or whatever it is. Oregon makes a lot of mistakes, a lot just simple little mistakes, and you could see how frustrated Altman was getting. I mean, there was one possession, Oregon scores, Gonzaga blows it up the floor and gets a 3-point shot. It reminded me of the Michigan game where Gonzaga got down to 12 or 15, and then boom, corner three after a made basket. Right? I mean, you just can't do that when you're playing against a team that you're trying to pull off the upset. And I think all of those kind of mistakes for Oregon compounded themselves where they just never could get over the hump. But I credit them. I mean, they kept it close. I thought Gonzaga was going to break that thing open a couple times, and that never happened.
Every time Oregon made a turnover, it seemed like the Zags scored. Every time they made a mistake, it seems like the Zags made them pay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're talking about. You can see where Oregon's going to be a handful. Giving them a month here to kind of get everything meshed together. They're going to be. I think Biddle in the NBA is going to be a very nice play. He'll have the spacing, will help him.
Correct,
he has the size. He reminds me of the Lopez brothers almost. He can shoot it.
Yeah, that's a good comp.
And he's a big, strong guy, moves pretty good. He can do a little of everything. And he's a good shot blocker. His timing, his length. He's nice.
I think what's really impressive about him is he's got a really good feel. He's a very good passer.
Yeah.
Soft hands. It'll be interesting to see how he holds up on, how the league, does pick and roll coverage and things like that. But I think he'll be fine. I agree with you. I would be really surprised if we didn't see him at the next level.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a nice NBA career. Zags go into conference play, Foxy, after the Christmas break. I think the guys get a couple, 2-3 days to get with family, or family comes and gets with them in Spokane before they play Pepperdine. Open in Malibu and then on to San Diego. I think we'll just talk about Pepperdine because San Diego will be after next Monday's show. So we'll do a preview of those guys then. Then we'll do a little look around the WCC here before we get out of here. Pepperdine has lost 49 in a row to Gonzaga. It goes back to 2002. It's just mind-blowing. It's the second longest streak in Division I history by my research. My research is going back through Barrett Henderson's release on the last Pepperdine game. UCLA beat Cal 52 times back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And that's the only one that's gone on longer. George W. Bush was in his first term, Foxy, when the Waves last beat Gonzaga. Pepperdine picked 11th out of 12 teams, but they're off to a really good start. I think one of their better starts in a decade or two. They have a familiar name, just like everybody the Zags seem to play. There's a connection, and this is Pavel Stosic, used to be at Gonzaga. 6'9" power forward. He's averaging about 18 minutes, 3.9 points, 3.9 rebounds. They hung with UCLA. They hit 13 threes in their last game and beat Rice. They don't have any marquee wins, but they kind of look at their schedule and their results. Really, the only team that throttled them was Fresno State. Got them by like 23. Everything else has been pretty tight. Got 4 guys in double figures. They got a 6'4" guard named Aaron Clark. One of those guys that when he's on, look out. When he's off, he's not going to do much. But I think he had 30 versus New Orleans. Their top scorers are in that 6'4", 6'5", kind of big guard, small wing neighborhood. A couple of big internationals, players, including Stosic, the former Zags. So I think you just look at it on paper, and like a lot of these games, especially in conference, how will their guards counter what they're going to probably have trouble dealing with inside with EK and Huff? That seems to be the crux of the issue. What do you make of the matchup? Are you calling this one? You going down?
Dick, I'll have it on his own with Heister. I'll be down there for the San Diego game.
2
Fly
nights
down
later.
that morning
Yeah.
and then come back the next day. So, look, I mean, Pepperdine's 3-7 in the last 10. They struggle to score. The one thing they do a decent job over there is just their solid rebounding team. I think plus 3.5. But they don't turn you over. They don't block shots. They're just okay with the ball. But they struggle to score. I mean, one of the bottom 4 in the league in team field goal percentage. Also, one of the worst defensive teams as far as teams are shooting 44% against them. From the floor. They don't make a ton of threes. They shoot just under 32% on the year from the 3-point line. Make about 7 a game. And just defensively, I mean, teams are shooting 33% against them, right? I mean, so it's the last time they'll have Gonzaga, in their gym. I can't imagine this is a series that continues when Gonzaga goes over to the Pac-12. So this is kind of their last whack at it. It'd be nice, I would imagine, for Pepperdine if they could get this game with the students on campus. It feels like the last few years it's been the opener. So I don't know. I don't expect it to be much of a contest, Jim. Gonzaga starts the conference schedule, facing the bottom half of the league, basically. I'm trying to look it up now.
Yeah, I want to say Pep and San Diego are 9th and 11th out of 12 in the preseason.
Yeah,
I misspoke. I was
10th and 11th.
I misspoke. I was confusing Pepperdine with Pacific for a minute there. Got my P's crossed.
You're fine.
They're not on a decade-long run here. Sorry.
I mean, they've got San Diego, Pepperdine, and I misspoke as well. They've got Seattle U, who's 10-2, just coming off a nice win against UW, and then they have got LMU, which is kind of middle of the pack. It's an interesting stretch for Gonzaga. I mean, they've got 4 games in 8 days, I believe. Starting 2 of those on the road. Interesting stretch for me as well. I have 3 of those 4, Jim. That's a lot of work for a guy like me.
Hey, you better rest those vocal cords, brother.
I know. I'll do all my vocal exercises. So, I think what's more interesting is, we've always, as you know, the season's always broken out into 3, right? Yeah. You've got non-conference, your league, and then you get into the postseason. And I think as a player, regardless of how the non-conference is going, I mean, if it goes terribly, you can't wait to turn the page and try to reset things in league. Yeah. If it goes really well, at some point, you're looking forward to getting into your league and trying to win that championship, because it means a lot. It does. It really does. I don't care if you're expected to win by everybody. It's a long schedule. It's 2 months. It's a real grind. Gonzaga every night, particularly when school's back in session. For the most part, you're playing in a hostile environment. Teams are throwing everything at you. They may have played a certain way all year, but you're coming in their building, they're going to throw that out and see if they change it up on you, right? And Gonzaga the last few years, they're non-conference. I mean, they've had close ones. It's not just been St. Mary's. So I would imagine this group's excited to start trying to win the league, and we'll see a lot of energy, particularly coming out of the break down in LA. And um, I think it'll be fun. It's kind of crazy. It's the last year in this league for
Yeah.
GU. It's
I was going to say, I think it means a lot this year, especially because St. Mary's has won the last two. And this is the last year for Gonzaga in this league. The last thing I want to do is go 3 years in a row without winning the league. I mean, I would think that would be pretty motivating, especially for guys like Huff and Ike who went through that.
I was just saying for Ike in particular.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty bitter pill to swallow. I'm sure they want to go out with a trophy in this conference. And so let's talk a little bit about the WCC. Just crazy, Foxy. It's going to be St. Mary's and Gonzaga again by at least judging by the preseason.
Yeah.
They've only done that for about 15, 18 years in a row, going back and forth with, to be fair, St. Mary's has won it the last couple of years, but Gonzaga's won it pretty much every year before that, save a shared title or two in there with the Gales dominating the league. But the Gales have risen up these last 2 years, and they've got another good crew. They lost Saxon. They lost Marshallonis. They lost Jordan Ross to Georgia, where he's a starter. But the way Randy Bennett always seems to do it, he's got guys coming back that are pretty good. He's added some pieces. Mikey Lewis has turned into a very good guard for him, can score it. They still have Moraskis, the kid who played at Arizona originally and transferred. He's around 18 and a half points, 7.3 rebounds. Still got the big kid Vessels. They still got 7'3" McKeever, who is playing a ton. He's playing a lot more than Vessels is, and he has made a difference in the middle. Aussie guard named Joshua Dent, who's 5 points a game, pretty good perimeter shooter. We'll get to some of the other teams in a second, but St. Mary's had pretty good non-conference season, and they look to have a very Bennett-like team that's going to be tough to beat most nights because of the style they play and the efficiency they play it with. Is it a two-team race, or way too early to get to make that declaration?
I think it is. I mean, San Francisco's obviously had a start to the year they did not anticipate. I mean, obviously, I know a couple guys on that staff a little bit, and I know they're disappointed. Look, St. Mary's, 10-2 losses to Vanderbilt and Boise State. They don't necessarily, they really don't have a marquee win. But the thing about Bennett's teams, man,
those are probably two quad two losses.
Yeah,
Vandy's ranked, and Boise's right on the fringe, 35 or something. Yeah.
Thing about Bennett is the teams his team in the non-conference in December and November is not the team that you're going to see in March. I mean, like they get better throughout the course of the year. And you're right, they lost a ton, but they have their way of playing. I mean, they're scoring on average 80 points a game. That's pretty good for them, right? I mean, they're still holding teams to under 65 a game. They're holding teams to under 40% from the field, under 30% from the 3-point line. So I mean, they continue to be one of the better defensive teams in the country. They shoot a decent percentage, 37% from three, and they, with their size, are you called it out. I mean, the one team in the league with the size that could probably play with Gonzaga on the boards. They're plus 11 on the year.
Always are. Great rebounding team.
And they have the ability to play McKever and the other big kid. Why am I forgetting his name?
Vessels.
Thank you. Together, if they need to, against Gonzaga, and that really worked for them last year.
With Saxon, it did.
Yeah, and really caused Gonzaga some problems. So it'll be a great matchup. It's two different styles of two different styles in the fight, right? I mean, St. Mary's, I think one of the things they've been able to do the last couple of years is they've been able to control the tempo and the pace of these games. And ultimately, their top end talent has not been that dissimilar from Gonzaga's, right? And the biggest thing and I've said this, I think you've echoed this, is the interesting thing about where we are in this particular stretch of the run since Mark has been here is they have maintained this elite level, but they have not done it in the same way they did it on the front end. Let's call the run start. The run started this part of the run started in 2014.
Yeah.
They go to the Elite Eight, lose to Duke. They have Sabonis on that team, right? He's a pro. The first half of this 12 years, let's call it, they had lottery picks throughout their lineup, right? I mean, you think about all the guys that came through, Collins, Hachimura, Clark. I mean, if not lottery picks, first round picks, Kispert, Suggs, Holmgren, right?
Kispert, yeah.
They have not done it this way the last 3 to 6 years. Really, since Holmgren was here, it's been very, very, very good college level players, older teams. That's a lot like what Gonzaga or what St. Mary's has.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not what it used to be, which is Gonzaga with some very good college players, but also some pro level players against St. Mary's. It's a lot of good college players against a lot of good college players.
That is a great point, Foxy.
The last couple years, if you're picking teams, I'm telling you, this is the best way to think about talent. You don't have to know the ins and outs of basketball. Just say, I'm putting together a team to play against, we've got to get 2 teams of 5.
Yeah.
And we're going to play on the playground. 6 years ago, you're no worse than the 4th or 5th GU guy before you start thinking about one of the Gales.
Yeah.
The last couple years, I mean, you might have picked Marshall as first. I don't know. You might have picked
Saxon's
Saxon.
Going to be an early draft pick. Yeah.
So that, Lewis is a guy who's kind of always given Gonzaga problems. Marshall Morauskas is a guy who really struggled against GU last year. Seems to do well against the rest of the league. Can he produce in a game against the Zags? I don't know. He's not shooting it well, just under 26% from 3. And they've got, Dent, McKever. The one thing St. Mary's does, and it's kind of reminds you of the early part of the run at Gonzaga 20 years ago, is they'll take a kid that was on the roster last year and just either redshirted and didn't play or whatever the case might be. And now he's a year or 2 into being in their program and he's developed and he's ready. Like, I think they do a remarkable job developing the guys that they have. They recruit to their system, and everybody they put on the floor is tough-minded.
Yeah.
And it's also remarkable. Last thing I'd say about Bennett is they've lost a lot of guys to other programs and have continued to move this thing along.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the kid Jefferson? He's like a starter for Iowa State.
He's going to be an All-American.
I mean, Mahoney left for Connecticut. I mean, I think, everybody, I couldn't believe he did that. But, Connecticut thought enough of him. Arizona's got one of their guys. I mean, despite losing players, it's just remarkable, right? I mean, I didn't know who McKever was. I didn't know who Dent was. These guys were in their program last year, and now they're starting, and they're very, very productive.
No, they do a lot of the same things as Zags do with the developing players in their own system, the old-fashioned way. And it's not all transfers and in that, but give them credit. What they've done there is a remarkable story. I think Joshua Jefferson's he's going to be an all-conference guy for sure.
For sure.
And I think he'll be a fringe All-American candidate. And he can make one of those teams, especially if they have a good year. Other teams that'll be kind of in the top 5-ish, I think Seattle U's kind of shown that they're pretty good. They have good size. They got a guard who can score it in Maldonado. And they have Jun-Suk Yo from Gonzaga, another Thai who's really blossomed with more playing time. Zags will see them twice, I think, by the middle of January. So that's going to be interesting. They're in the 94 in the net. USF is 117. Pacific, who I mentioned having one of their finest non-conference in a long time, 100 in the net. Santa Clara 89. So those seem to be the teams to keep an eye on. I still think WSU on the right night with that freshman glass, with the returning guys they have, Thrasterson, Okafor. They have some nice pieces. But I really think USF is a team that has some potential to turn into a real factor in this conference. They've got good players. They haven't quite stitched it all together, but I really like their guards. Beasley's very good. Like Riley, have some size. And I'm just intrigued by Seattle U. Who do you see out of that collection kind of making a run for second or third or even challenging for a title if they got really hot? Who do you like in that?
Yeah, I mean, look, San Francisco, Beasley's back,
Cook, nice
but
player. Yeah.
yeah, but Cook's a transfer from Oregon. Is it David? I won't try to pronounce his last name. To say it wrong and
yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
That's not
that.
one to slip up.
Yeah, he's from Rhode Island. But they really hit the portal hard, and it doesn't feel like that team has fit together the way that they were envisioning. And Cook has not been as good as his high school resume would have indicated,
Exactly.
right? But they do have some. Beasley's an explosive scorer. They're very well coached, and they have some wing size that the rest of the league's not going to have. Some depth at the wing. But I like Seattle U. I'll admit, they're new to the league. I've not watched them a ton. I'm happy to see June's getting an opportunity. He's been really good for them. 12 points a game, 4 rebounds, shooting 36% from three. He's taken about 5 a game. So I mean, it's on volume. They shoot the ball pretty well as a group. How do you say it?
Maldonado, I believe.
Maldonado. I should learn that by next weekend. He's kind of just a solid. He can do a little bit of everything. 16 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Shoots at 44% from three. They've got good perimeter play. It's just look. You have to just look at the depth inside. I mean, that's it. I mean, you could have, 3 Beasleys, and that's fine. But if you don't have anybody who can slow Gonzaga's program inside, I mean, it's over, right? And so that's what you're looking at. And I just think you look at St. Mary's, they just have leaned into this size. And look, I mean, and it's Biddle's a very good player. Every bit the player that Ike is very different, but from when Biddle's right, his productivity, his impact on the game is at the level of Ike. But look at the big kid at Michigan, who's at UCLA, 7'2" kid.
Yeah, Mara.
He's not the player that Ike is, but what he is he's almost 4 inches taller and long. Right. And so when you've got that matchup, that's going to be a problem for the undersized player nearly every time. And so that's the thing about the St. Mary's matchup is even though I don't think McKever is the same level of player from a skill or feel perspective that Huff and Ike are, he's gigantic. and he can play a little bit, right? So so now, that difference in size, it just creates an issue for you. And you're not used to seeing it all the time. That's also the hard thing, I think, even for a guy like Ike who's seen a lot.
Yeah.
He's not running up against guys who are 7'2" every day. And it just changes things just enough where it can be disruptive. And so, I mean, look, they're going to get everyone's best shot. I think there's some guards in this league that could get hot, get going. But ultimately, I'll be fascinated to see what is Gonzaga's rebound margin in league play. Is that going to top 15 a game? I mean, they should just destroy folks on the glass on both ends. And defensively, they should be able to overwhelm people with their length and their quickness. I don't know, man. I told you I don't think they're going to lose the rest of the way out. You're giving me some pause with St. Mary's. I'm looking at Gonzaga's schedule, and I see, Jim, that their last regular season game is February 28th at St. Mary's. So I'm presuming that on March 1st, you will agree with me that they will go undefeated. I'm waiting for you to jump on the bandwagon at that point.
I will do that right
Okay.
after you jump on the Huff 3-point bandwagon with me.
I think we'll just stay in our corners for now.
Okay, then we agree to disagree. Hey, that's going to do it. We appreciate everybody stopping by every Monday to listen to us ramble on. We wish you the merriest of Christmas.
Hey, amen to that, brother.
to everybody out there. Have a great holiday season, Foxy, to you and yours.
You too, buddy.
Live it up. Thanks for joining us. See you in a week.